皆さんこんにちは。今回は、ボクシングジャーナリストの SCTV さんが行った中谷潤人選手のトレーナーとしても知られるルディ・エルナンデス氏へのインタビューを翻訳しました。元動画は80分以上あり、ルディ氏について詳しく語られているほか、近代ボクサーと過去の伝説的なボクサーが戦ったらどうなるのか、といった興味深い話題も含まれていました。今回はその中から、オラスクアガ選手、中谷潤人選手、そして井上尚弥選手について話している部分をピックアップして翻訳しました。それでは始めます。
Literally, Rudy, I think you're one of the best boxing trainers in the world. I genuinely think in the calendar year of 2024, you were the best boxing coach in the world. That's my opinion. That's me being honest. I mean, training not only Junto Nakatani, but Anthony Olascuaga as well. And both of those guys having 100% KO or TKO record in the calendar year. That's a testament to yourself and your ability as a coach to them. So I wanted to start actually with those two guys specifically. So with Anthony, I mean, his success story is actually amazing from what I've heard. Like prior to him becoming world champion, apparently he was actually a cab driver, doing that while he was a boxer as well. And then he came to you before that as well. So you've kind of seen his journey from the start. When he started boxing, he was with you as well, and then now he's becoming world champion. So how has it been like, coaching him, and now he's at the pinnacle of world champion? How's it been like the journey with Anthony?
Well, first of all, let's get one thing straight. He was never a cab driver.
Okay, that's a false rumor then.
He was not a cab driver. He's a barber.
Okay,
He's a barber, and I think at one time he might have started being an Uber driver.
yeah,
Maybe he did that for a few weeks or a few months, maybe a month or two
sure.
at the most. But he wasn't really a cab driver. But and it's funny how he started boxing. When he started boxing, he was 14 years old. I took him to the gym on the purpose to get beat up by Junto Nakatani. Junto at that time was 15. And so being that Tony he had been living with me for a while now, and he's 14 years old, and I'm an adult. So adults beating up on children, it's illegal. Right?
Yeah.
But there's a boxing gym. And what better place to take him and sacrifice him than the boxing gym? So I took him to the boxing gym, and Junto and he didn't speak English and I don't speak Japanese. And so just with signs, like, I'm going to be really mad at you if you don't knock him out. And, well, he understood exactly what I was talking about. So, I'm going to say about 2 minutes into that first round, Junto caught him right to the liver, man. And when I say he caught him to the liver, man, there was a couple of parents there at the gym that day, and they go, "Damn, Rudy, you're such an asshole." And I go, and I looked at them and I go, "Yeah, I know, but I'll get over it." And then I just walked away. And so I walked away, and then I go congratulate Junto, and I tell him it was a great job, and did a great job. Now I want him to work on this, and I'm talking to Junto the things that he can be working on, right? And so when I turn around, it must have been about a little bit over 5 minutes since Tony was laying out there in the canvas, still crying. And so I go over there and I go, "Hey man, get your butt over here, man. You look like a sacrificed lamb. Get your butt over here. Sit down." And he sits next to me and he's still crying. And I go, "Well, I'm assuming that after this, you're not going to be coming back to the gym at all." And Tony goes, "No, I'm going to come back and I'm going to train really hard because one day I'm going to fuck Junto up." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" And I was like really surprised that he said that. Well, Tony showed up every single day. He came back to the
Wow.
gym. And you know what's crazy is, like, after being in the gym for 6 months, he was holding his own against really good fighters. And I'm like, damn, maybe he was a really good athlete. He was a good basketball player, soccer player, football player. I mean, and in boxing, man, it was like, and I told him, I says, "You know what, Tony, there's only two sports that I believe that you're going to be worthy of being on. One of them is going to be boxing, which is within reach, or you can be a jockey. because you're a freaking midget and you weigh 100 and you weigh 90 pounds. And so like, I mean, those are the only two damn jobs that I believe that you can excel in. And look, the clock ticks and he becomes champion of the world. And what's crazy is that when he runs, okay, when he won the world title, you'll see me run. I don't even go in the ring with him because I have to go and wrap Junto's hands that
Yeah.
he was the main event that night.
Yeah.
And so I had to run back and then do the hand wrapping for Junto Nakatani.
Yeah.
And then Tony comes into the dressing room with his belt, with his WBO belt, and he goes, "Hey Rudy, I'm not a dumbass anymore." And I look at him. I turn around and I look at him and I go, "Shut the fuck up, Tony. You're still a dumbass, but now you're certified with a belt." And we're all laughing in the locker room. Unfortunately, that was not filmed
Oh,
because that would have been a great moment.
yeah. That's one way to celebrate, right?
Yeah, I think it was great.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I was going to ask Rudy, like at this point, so you mentioned before when you brought Tony into the boxing gym to get his ass beat by Junto Nakatani in your own words. How did you meet Tony at this point? When was he a kid? Like how did that happen? How did you meet him?
Well, Tony lived down the block from where I lived at, and so he was friends with my son, and so
Okay.
so one day Tony comes into the house, we lived in an apartment at the time. So Tony walks into the apartment, and I'm sitting there in the living room, and he goes straight to my son's room, and I go, "Who the hell just came in?" And so I go, "Hey, bring that little fucker back out here." So he comes out, right? So and Tony's a little kid, right? He's must have been about 9 or 10 years old, and I go, "Nah," and well, I can curse or no? Can I curse or I shouldn't
Yeah,
curse?
cool. No, you can curse, Rudy. Of course you can.
Okay, so I go, "Hey, you fucking little midget, who the fuck are you?" And he looks at me and I go, "Hey, my name is Rudy Hernandez, and I'm the man of this house. I'm the shot caller." I go, "And now who the hell are you? You just come in like what? You pay rent here or what?" And Tony is like in shock. He's like surprised and like he's nervous. He doesn't know what to do or what to say. And I go, "Bring your ass over here." And so I go, "My name is Rudy Hernandez," and I stick my hand out so he can shake my hand. And then he goes, he goes on Tony. I go, "What? Tony what? Olascuaga? What kind of damn name is that, man? Jesus Christ, man, boy, I would not be bragging about that freaking name." And then I go, "All right, man. Well, now you know, man. When you come here, you say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, or else your ass ain't welcome here anymore." So he goes into my boy's room. Well, after that, it took him a few months for him to, because he would ask, "Is your dad there?" He goes, "Yeah." So he wouldn't come up. He'd go home. And then he just started showing up, and he was they're in the same class, and I think he's about 11 years old at the time. And so my wife says that he's going to come to live with us for a couple of months so she can help him pick up his grades, or else he's not going to go to the next grade. He's going to fail. And so, yeah, I said, whatever. So to me, it's not a big deal because in the past, I've had about, I would say, a good 13 children live in my house,
Okay.
that weren't my children, but they needed structure. And so they would find structure with my other son. And so they lived there with him. And at the end of the day, it's like I believe that my house should never be locked because you never know when you want to come home. And my mom's house, it's home. And when I say it's home to you, to my brothers, to my cousins, nephews, friends, neighbors, because you can always go home, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because as human beings, we're supposed to look out for each other. And what better way of doing it than setting the example?
Couldn't agree
You
more,
know?
Rudy. That's very very inspirational there. And it's kind of like you've explained there where you've got your values from as well. So from Tony's point of view, like you mentioned at the start, it wasn't a big deal to you, but I'm sure from his point of view, it seems like you were like a father figure to him. It seems that way, like you gave him that kind of discipline, but also that motivation. Like you mentioned when your wife was saying he needs to improve his grades at school, so you were giving him that as well as introducing him into boxing and other things as well. So it seems like you were a father figure to him. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think I mean I'm probably the man that he's mostly been dealing with since he was a little kid. From the
Yeah.
time that he came to our house there, that I've been more of a father figure to him than anyone else.
Yeah.
But again, that's what coaches are.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
And please don't call all these people that train fighters coaches, because they're not. They're trainers.
Trainers, yeah.
And when I say they're trainers, there's a big difference between coaching and training.
How would you differentiate the two then? What's a coach and what's a trainer?
Okay, a trainer pretty much he trains fighters, but he depends on them, and he can't take them to another level because he's not capable. He doesn't know how. How can you teach something that you don't know?
Yeah.
That's one. And then also, and a coach will tell you, take your belt and your ass out of my gym. Get the fuck out of here.
Mm,
You can be the champion of the world, and he'll tell you to go fuck yourself. Get the hell
yeah.
out of here. I'm that guy. I don't answer to nobody.
Yeah.
You're here for a reason and for a purpose.
Yeah.
And my job is to bring out the best in you. I'm not here to be your friend.
Yeah.
Once they walk into the gym, and my guys will tell you, once they walk into the gym, they're just another fighter.
Mm,
They're no fucking world champions or blah blah blah. That means nothing.
yeah.
The night of the event is where it matters, and you got to get ready. And if you
Yeah.
can't get ready in the gym, you'll never be ready fight night.
Wow. No,
And it's
that
important.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that probably keeps them humbled as well, right? Inside and outside the ring.
Junto's a prime, and Junto's been a hell of an example for Tony, because Tony has been learning from Junto,
Yeah.
and they're the best of friends right now. Like they're like brothers. They always look out for each other. When Tony goes to Japan, Tony goes home to his Japanese family, and that's Junto's family.
なぜルディ氏がオラスクアガ選手を預かることになったのか疑問に思い、調べてみたところ、ザ・ボクサーズという元ボクシングマガジンのメンバーが運営するブログにたどり着きました。そこには詳しい情報が記載されていたので、それを参考にしてお話しします。トニー・オラスクアガ選手は、厳しい家庭環境の中で育ったようです。父親は暴力的でメキシコに強制送還され、母親は生活に疲れ切っており、家族でのお出かけや外食といった思い出もないまま過ごしていました。小学校ではルディ氏の息子と同じ学校に通っていましたが、中学に進むと別々の学校になり、トニーは夜な夜な街をさまよい、不良仲間とつるむようになりました。そんな彼を心配したエルナンデス夫妻は、トニーの母親と相談し、彼を一時的に自宅で預かることを決めました。エルナンデス家の厳格なルールの下で生活した結果、トニーの成績は劇的に向上し、落第を免れます。そして、トニー自身がこの家にもう少しいてもいいと夫妻に頼み、その後もしばらくエルナンデス家で暮らすことになりました。しかし、トニーのいたずらに激怒したルディ氏は、一度彼を実母の元へ返す決断をします。しかし、実母の家で目にした厳しい現実に、ここではトニーの未来はないと確信します。母親の同意を得たルディ氏は、トニーにこれは命令だ。うちでずっと暮らすんだぞ、と伝え、再び自分の家に迎え入れることを決めたそうです。ルディ氏は、家に預かっている子供たちをボクサーにさせるためではなく、教育の一環としてジムに連れて行っていたようです。オラスクアガ選手もその一人で、最初はあまり乗り気ではなかったものの、お小遣いをもらえるという理由で通っていたようです。そして月日は流れ、当時14歳のオラスクアガ選手は15歳の中谷潤人選手と出会うことになります。ザ・ボクサーズの記事ではさらに詳しい内容が書かれているので、概要欄にリンクを貼っておきました。興味がある方はぜひ読んでみてください。
Wow.
And it's an amazing. They're an amazing two friends.
That's really nice to hear. So in terms of Tony, like his career, what would you think is next for him? Because him being the flyweight world champion, in previous years, there wasn't that much eyes on the division. But right now, in the UK, we have a big, well, he's not a world champion, he's an interim WBC champion. That's Galal Yafai.
ガラル・ヤファイ選手は東京オリンピックの金メダリストで、2024年11月30日に、元 IBF 世界フライ級王者で、その試合後に引退を表明したサニー・エドワーズ氏と WBC 暫定タイトルをかけて対戦し、6ラウンド TKO 勝利を収めました。この勝利で戦績を9戦9勝 7KO に伸ばし、日本人世界王者である寺地健志郎選手が正規王者として君臨している WBC のタイトルの暫定王者となりました。将来的にはこの2人の対決が期待されています。
Olympian, he comes from a boxing family as well. Would you see a potential fight with Tony and Galal in the future at some point?
Our promoter is from Taken Promotions.
Yeah.
If he says we're fighting so and so, we're fighting so and so.
Sure.
We're not the ones that pick. We're not the ones that are picking opponents. He's our promoter. I just ask him, give me a date, and I always ask to give me at least give me 45 days to 2 months, and we'll be ready. But there was a time that we got a phone call with 2 weeks notice to fight for the world title. What the hell? Why not? We were going to fight in 3 weeks anyway, so we're ready. And we took the fight.
Wow.
We didn't win, but we won.
Yeah. I see what
Sometimes you don't win fights, man, but you win in other ways.
Of course.
And he did, and it paid off.
この2週間前のオファーとは、2023年4月8日に行われたオラスクアガ選手 vs 寺地健志郎選手の試合のことです。当初は寺地健志郎 vs ジョナサン・ゴンサレス選手の統一戦が予定されていましたが、ゴンサレス選手の発病により統一戦は中止となりました。その結果、すでに来日しており、同年4月15日に韓国で試合を予定していたオラスクアガ選手が、東京でトレーニングを行っている最中に、寺地健志郎選手との防衛戦をオファーされることとなりました。この知らせをルディ氏から知らされたのは、3月22日だったそうです。その後、健志郎選手との試合が決まったオラスクアガ選手が語った言葉に感銘を受けたため、ザ・ボクサーズさんの記事の一部を引用します。もちろんって即答。断る理由なんてあるのかな。チャンスなんて一生に一度あるかないかなんだ。何年もボクシングをやってきて今準備ができていない。なんて言って断るなら永遠にその日は来ないよ。この言葉からは、彼の自信と彼の持つ奔放な性格が伺えます。試合は激闘の末、9ラウンドにレフェリーストップとなり、寺地健志郎選手が勝利を収めました。しかし、この試合はオラスクアガ選手の評価を高め、日本のボクシングファンから大きな支持を得るきっかけとなりました。ルディ氏が先ほど語った私たちは勝てなかった。でも、勝ったんだよ。時には試合に勝てなくても、他の形で勝つことがある。彼はそれをやり遂げて、その成果が実を結んだんだという言葉には、試合には敗れたものの多大なファンを獲得し、その後再び日本でタイトルマッチの機会を得て勝利したという意味が込められています。
So in terms of, so you mentioned there the promotional team, so they kind of pick the fights for Tony and however it works. So do they ask your opinion on potential matchups and fighters, or do they just say, right, this is the fight, this is the date, or do they ask your opinion? Or
every once in a while they'll ask her, they'll say, what do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, if that's who we're fighting, then that's who we're fighting.
Yeah.
I don't pick. I believe that our promoter, that I believe in what he's doing.
Yeah.
I trust him. He's our promoter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always in his best interest that we win.
Of course. Yeah.
So, or even if we do lose, I mean, it was like hey, that was our job is to be ready.
Yeah.
He can't fight for us. He can't. When that bell rings, it says Tony, and when he comes to the corner, I can be assistance. But at the end of the day, it's just get them ready. My guys are ready. And the day that they lose is because the other guy was better. There's no excuses.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. And then if we move on to Junto now, Junto Nakatani. So is it since he was a 15-year-old kid you've known him for? How did you get to meet Junto?
He was at the LA boxing gym. He came and worked out, but he was there with Matt Kurihara, who was also a Japanese guy.
Yeah.
And so he was with him at that time.
マック・クリハラ氏はハワイ出身の日系アメリカ人トレーナーで、元世界王者の薬師寺康英氏や戸高秀樹氏を指導したことで知られています。特に、1994年12月4日に行われた薬師寺氏と辰吉丈一郎氏の統一戦で、薬師寺氏を勝利に導いた功績が広く評価されています。
And so, I go to Japan like the beginning of the year, and a friend of ours named Reiko, she introduced me to Junto's parents. And the parents, they wanted to see if I would train Junto. And I said, yeah, sure, why not? But they wanted him to come and live in the United States. And I did not encourage that. I didn't want him coming to the United States. I mean, it was okay for him to come, 3 months, go back, and then, come back every once in a while, but not, I didn't want him to lose the Japanese culture. How these, it's a game changer. If you ever go to Japan, you'll see how the structure out there is different than, in the United States, man. It's just like the difference between night and day.
Wow.
In Japan, they say if you're 5 minutes early, you're late.
Wow.
And what's crazy is that Junto at the age of 15, he was okay. So he comes over and so Tony wants to go to a water park, and so they're trying to convince Junto to go to the water park. So I'm looking at him. I'm like, oh man, they're gonna talk him into going to the park, and then so they gave him a choice. So do you want to go to the water park or do you want to go to the gym? And Junto goes gym, and I'm like, oh man, I was like, I felt really good, and because at the end of the day, that's always been Junto's purpose. Junto goes even to this day, Junto comes to the gym to work on his craft and to perfect it. He's not here for social media, for nothing matters to Junto more than boxing. Nothing comes before boxing. If it interferes with his training, he's not going to do it, or he doesn't want to be a part of it, because it's going to interfere with his training. And so no matter what's going on in life with all the other guys, he doesn't care. His whole thing is like, I go to the gym from 9:30 to 11:30. I go running. I don't know. I think he goes to run about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So he runs at 5 o'clock. So if it's going to interfere with that work, he won't be part of it. To this day. Wow. And he's a 3-time world champion.
Yeah.
He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that he's a 3-time world champion, because he still trains like he did when he was 15.
Wow.
He hasn't changed.
Are you proud of that fact as well? Because knowing him since then, like, you said he doesn't care about social media. He doesn't care that he's a multi-weight world champion. Like, many people see him as maybe top 5, top 10, certainly pound for pound boxers in the world right now. And are you proud of the fact that he hasn't let the limelight got to him, and he's just, as you said, he's the same as he was? He does his training, he does his running, he gets on with it. Are you proud of that from him?
I'm really, of course, I'm really proud of this kid who chooses to be great.
Yeah.
And how do you become great? You got to work. You got to put in the work, and you got to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Or else you're screwed. That's
Yeah.
bottom line is like nobody else can do it for you but yourself.
Yeah.
And those who have ever been in a boxing ring in a fight performing with audience, they'll tell you. They know,
Mm.
they understand. And like I said, Junto, no matter what, he comes to the gym and he's ready to work.
Yeah. Now that's
And
that.
that's what makes him. I believe that he's the greatest fighter I've ever trained.
Wow.
They say, "Hey, your brother was really good too," and I go, "Yeah, but he wasn't a." But if he only had the mentality that Junto has, my brother would have been a great fighter.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He was like, "I don't need to do that. My style has got me this far, and I'm going to stay with it."
ルディ・エルナンデス氏の弟、ヘナロ・エルナンデス氏は、WBA 及び WBC の世界スーパーフェザー級王者に輝きました。生涯戦績は41戦38勝、17KO、2敗1分けという記録を持ち、その2敗はオスカー・デラホーヤ氏とフロイド・メイウェザー・ジュニア氏によるものです。ルディ氏は、弟ヘナロ氏をサポートするために自身のボクサーとしてのキャリアを諦め、カットマンやトレーナーとしての道を歩み始めました。ヘナロ氏はメイウェザー戦後に血栓と軟骨筋の損傷が見つかり、これをきっかけに引退を決意します。引退後、黄門筋肉腫という非常に珍しい癌が発見され、闘病生活を送りましたが、2011年に45歳で亡くなりました。彼の癌治療には莫大な費用がかかりましたが、その多くをボブ・アラム氏が負担したと言われています。また、葬儀費用を全額負担したフロイド・メイウェザー・ジュニア氏の行動も、多くの人々に感銘を与えました。
But there's options. Junto has options, and he knows how to use them. And you're never going to see him fight like the same rhythm and same round all the time. He makes changes. He'll do things differently.
And with Junto, like, do you think, in terms of, you mentioned the discipline and the willingness to do more, do you think, because you mentioned early when he was 15 and his family wanted him to move, and you said you wasn't a fan of that because you wanted him to keep that kind of Japanese culture within him growing up. Do you think this discipline, hard work, and focus comes from his culture, like the Japanese culture? Do you think that plays a big part in it?
A huge part, because like it's different. I don't know if you ever been on social media. You see how little kids are cooking, sewing. Like Chinese and stuff. All those Asian kids, man,
Hey,
they're
man,
not
they're a big difference to like the Western kids. We're all fucked over here, man. I was like doing some bullshit on
exactly.
social media. Yeah.
So I'm not lying.
Yeah.
Of course, man, it's just different. And they're accountable.
Yeah. So with Junto Nakatani, so I know you mentioned before when we were talking about Tony, how you have the promotional team, and you mentioned around Junto's personality without him kind of realizing maybe that he is on the verge, or well, I think he already is like a global superstar. Like, in the UK, people talk about him a lot. In America, people are talking about potential super fights with him as well. Does he ever come to you for advice on his kind of career in terms of maybe what direction to take it? Like you said, he's multi-weight world champion. Does he ever come to you and have conversations about, hey, should I stay in this weight? Should I move up? Does he have those conversations with you at all, or is he not worried about that?
No, we have never. Well, he did when he was a bantamweight. I saw his struggles.
ここでルディ氏はバンタム級と言っているのですが、いい間違いだと思うので、スーパーフライ級と訳しています。
And then I says, you know what, it's time to move up.
Yeah.
And so he gave up the 115-pound title, and that was that one time that we after seeing what I saw, I said, you don't belong in this division anymore. And I talked to the promoter, and and we all, I mean, it's like it's like we don't do a whole lot of talking as far as like careers and stuff like that, because we just take it day by day. Today is today, and we're fighting when he comes to Los Angeles when he has a set date. And once he has a set date, he'll come and train 5 to 6 weeks in Los Angeles, and then he'll go back to Japan like 2 weeks before the fight, to get back to the normal, where he's comfortable, where he doesn't have jet lag. So
Yeah.
he'll go back and he'll go back to Japan and he'll be ready for come fight time.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And in terms of like, if you don't mind me asking, Rudy, like, can Junto like, can he speak English? Like, how do you guys communicate, man?
Yeah, he speaks English. He
Oh,
understands
okay,
a whole
okay.
lot more than
Oh,
he
that's cool.
speaks.
Okay, I was gonna,
but,
I was thinking,
but
wow, man,
he's
how
gotten
are you
really
guys
good
doing
at
that?
it. Well, he's been coming over for about 11 years, and so
Yeah.
he watches videos and stuff, and like and he understands almost everything. I only talk boxing and like food. Well, okay, boxing, food, and bullshit.
What
You
else
know,
do they talk about, man?
yeah. So and at the end of the day, we we get to enjoy the time, and like I said, once he starts training, that's it. It's all he's a he's the most professional fighter I've ever met or seen.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And um, like there's him being the WC champion right now. There's some exciting as boxing fans and people around boxing. There's some potential exciting fights that people would kind of they sit on their couch, they sit in bars and they talk about what fight this fight would be a good fight, this fight would be a good fight. There's two names that come to mind when we talk about Junto Nakatani. They're people who are not in his weight, but you've got Jesse Bam Rodriguez, and then you've got another fellow Japanese fighter, the monster, Naoya Inoue, who you previously, I know you said you consider him to be the pound for pound best fighter in the world. Theoretically speaking, I'm not trying to, put this in any direction, but theoretically speaking, if Junto was to fight any of those two, who do you think would be a tougher test for him? Inoue or Bam?
Inoue,
Yeah,
without a doubt.
yeah. And do
Yeah,
you still
Inoue without a doubt. And I don't mean no disrespect to Bam Rodriguez, but there's levels to this, and the monster, he's a bad dude, man. I consider him to be the best fighter pound for pound.
wow.
You know,
Well, that is some statement. And do you think like obviously Inui him being Japanese as well, have Junto and Naomi ever like sparred or anything together, do you know?
you know what? I don't think so. But I think he sparred with his brother.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
Maybe with his brother. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
that was I'm not. Yeah, I think he might have sparred with his brother at one time.
Wow. That's amazing. And then in terms of like when we're speaking about Junto, do you guys, like I mentioned, because he's like on the verge of getting a lot more attention around the world, from your point of view, do you ever get pressure in terms of saying we need Junto to do this, we need Junto to do that? Have there been any kind of difficult conversations, or is it very much still you have that full control over the training and the coaching or has there been anything kind of difficult conversations due to the attention that Junto is getting recently?
No, I pretty much run the show. Um,
Yeah,
I don't no they no when he comes to the gym, I'm the one I'm the trainer. I'm
that's good.
I'm the one that's asking and teaching and so I won't I don't have nobody supervising me either.
That's
You
cool.
know,
That's really good to
of
know. 'Cause
of course there's gonna be few people with opinions, and I go, hey, but who's to? I mean, I always listen, but and at the end of the day, it's like if it makes sense, then okay, yeah. But if it doesn't make sense, then
yeah,
it's okay.
that makes sense. And then on the I mentioned at the start of this call, Rudy, I genuinely think you're one of the best in the world at what you do. Last year, I think you were the coach of the year, in my opinion. You spoke about Naoya Inoue, who you think you talked about levels, and you think he is the pound for pound number one in the world at the moment. If sometime later down the line, Junto and Naoya Inoue were to cross paths as a coach, what do you think you could potentially exploit in Naoya Inoue? Do you see anything there that you could kind of target if Junto Nakatani was to fight him?
You know what? I've always said this about boxing. It's like you can assume, and at the end of the day, you can see. But the fact of the matter is, like, but once you're in front of them, will you be able to execute?
Mm.
That's bottom line. And but but like in everything in life, you have the very best. But you know, everybody is meant to be in a certain way, a certain position for so long. Boxers. There was a time when there was a Sugar Ray Robinson, there was a Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Floyd Mayweather,
Yeah.
Roy Jones, and and just like them, we have Terrence Crawford,
Mm.
and today we have the Monster,
Yeah.
and we have Junto that's in that line, you know, stepping stepping up pretty quick
Yeah.
because he fights 3 4. We're trying to we're we If it were up to me, he'd be fighting 5 times a year, but
Mhm.
he's only fighting like maybe 3 4 times a year.
Yeah.
And the thing is that we want to be. I'd like to see Junto um, compete against the Monster one day,
Yeah.
and because to be the best, you got to beat the best.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. The first time that was mentioned to me about maybe Junto fighting Inoue, I kid you not, I got nervous. I
Mm.
got butterflies, and and if you know who the Monster is, you'd understand why you got butterflies. You're gonna go up against him, and that's no easy task, none whatsoever, man. But at the end of the day, um, I believe in Junto. I believe that we're gonna that we'll work a certain way, and maybe a little bit different, and I believe that we'll go in that fight with the intentions of winning and winning big. There's no looking back, but moving moving ahead. And if you want to be the very best, then you got to beat the very best.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I'm sure all boxing fans around the world would one day love to see that fight between Junto Nakatani and Naoya Inoue. It'd be a big treat for us. Just going